There's a very real threat that we as Americans face on a daily basis. The threat of radical Islam coupled with the disarming of Americans by liberal politicians. And yet, every time I bring this topic up, somebody inevitably tells me I'm just fear-mongering. Me, a guy who's witnessed firsthand what the threat of radical Islam is and the horror it can inflict. I trust a car mechanic to tell me when something's wrong with my vehicle, right? So who do you trust to tell you when there's a threat of terrorism brought on by an ideology that we as Americans don't understand? Here's the issue. We're so worried about being politically correct that it gets in the way of the real problems. The president refuses to use the term radical Islam because he thinks it's a distraction.
That's the key, they tell us. We can't beat ISIL unless we call them radical Islamists. What exactly would using this label accomplish?
The leader of our nation refuses to call the threat what it is because he's afraid of taking sides and offending a group of people. It wasn't a problem for him to take sides and say that Trayvon Martin could have been his son.
When Trayvon Martin was first shot, I said that this could have been my son. Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me.
Sure, that wasn't a distraction at all. Too many people would rather build safe spaces in order to avoid the reality that there are threats in the world we need to be prepared to handle. We've also been told that restricting magazine capacity and the firearms we're able to purchase will make this country a safer place. Politicians even created the lie of gun-free zones to comfort the minds of the clueless. Terrorists do not care. They'll carry more magazines if you restrict the capacities. They'll illegally purchase banned weapons or different weapons and train to use them in order to carry out their sick jihadist plans. They'll prey on gun-free zones because they know they're undefended. They've already conducted multiple knife attacks, improvised explosive bombings, and even run a truck onto a sidewalk and literally mowed people down like blades of grass. This is reality, and it isn't a safe space. We can do our best to prepare for those threats by arming and training ourselves. Or we can pretend we can eliminate those threats by restricting the Second Amendment rights of the law-abiding citizen and letting every undocumented alien imaginable into our country. I volunteered 12 years of my life to the Navy as a SEAL, and I continue to dedicate my life to this country and my fellow Americans every single day, studying the enemy, sharing knowledge, and defending the Second Amendment. And yet somehow it's misconstrued as fear-mongering, and I'm the bad guy. The threat is real, and it doesn't care if you're black, Asian, gay, or straight. Ignore it, hide in your safe space, and avoid reality, because this stuff doesn't happen until it does. And then you'll be looking at somebody else to save you. Every single day, millions of Americans buckle their seatbelts when they get into their vehicles. Not because they plan on getting into an accident, but because if they're in one, it may save their lives. Is it fear-mongering when you're told to buckle up?